project is testing effects of ionizing radiation on immune development. Okay, so for some basic background information, some of you may be wondering what is ionizing radiation. Simply put, it's just energy with enough force behind it to liberate electrons and break chemical bonds. It's measured by GW or gray units, and overexposure is known to damage cell tissue and cause cancer. It's potentially very dangerous to past evidence suggests that if it's at the optimum intensity and duration, ionizing radiation can stimulate plant development through deformation in the auxin. The auxin hormone is basically it's responsible for the elongation of a plant's shoots and roots, and it's also its reaction to its environment, which is where stimulation comes in. It also it also plays a role in the development of plant organs. Specifically, in a past USSR report, a correlation has been found between increasement in crop yields and the presence of seed or radiation. Also, chromosome volume is linked to radio sensitivity. So I chose green beans for this project because since they have a relatively small chromosome size, I figured that they would be more durable for the project, and just because they're less sensitive to radiation. Okay, so for equipment, I will use a scanning electron microscope to analyze the inner contents of the plants at a more cellular level. And also, a Geiger counter will also be used to measure the radiation in the leftover soil after that experiment has been conducted, just to make sure it was a controlled variable and everything went smoothly. Okay, so my purpose was to determine how ionizing radiation can alter green beans' maturation rate and their overall internal composition. So my hypothesis was that if green beans are exposed to 200 gray units of ionizing radiation for 1 to 2 seconds, then they will grow faster than green beans not exposed to any ionizing radiation, or those exposed to 5 seconds of radiation, because that would be overexposure, and with the least amount of internal damage. Because plant sensitivities to ionizing radiation can be stimulating at the optimum intensity and exposure, but yet that hasn't been thoroughly studied that much, so that is something I will be looking into and investigating to figure out what is the optimum amount of exposure. Also, the inner effects of not ionizing radiation hasn't been thoroughly studied as well, so I can't really form hypotheses on what I believe the inner contents will change. Like, I can't just guess how much the total sugars content or the cellulose content, but I can't guess how much that will change after being reacted or being affected by ionizing radiation, because just due to the lack of research on it. So yeah. For safety, obviously precautions will be taken against the radiation with help from a clinical radiologist from the X-ray. Also, I would recommend wearing gloves while handling the soil and to not eat the green beans because they might not be edible. For materials, 40 Maxwell green bean seeds will be used in the experiment just to be tested against and everything. 4 pots will be used to contain the seeds, while the marker and tape will be used to label everything accurately and just for organizational purposes. The Geiger counter once again will be used to measure the radiation, and the scanning electron microscope will be used to analyze the internal contents of the beans. The bag of garden soil will be used to put in the pots and cultivate the seeds. The shovel will be used to utilize that soil, while gloves will be used as a safety precaution. A ruler would be necessary just as an added measurement of the heights and length of leaves and the surface area of leaves, just to measure the independent variables. The water will be used as nourishment. The weight scale is also just an added additional measurement of the green beans development. The spray bottle will be used to distribute that water source, and the X-ray machine will obviously be used to irradiate the seeds. For my experimental design, first permission would have to be obtained from a diagnostic laboratory for the usage of an X-ray machine. Clinical radiologist assistance would be required for help with that operation of the X-ray machine. Once all that is sorted out, we would label the 4 pots alphabetically and fill them with a sufficient amount Then the seed distribution would begin. Basically, the 40 beans would be separated into 4 groups of 10 for each pot. So pot A would receive the seeds that were not exposed to any amount of radiation, while pot B would receive those that had underwent 1 second of radiation. Pot C would receive the seeds that underwent 3 seconds of radiation, and pot D would receive the seeds exposed to 5 seconds of radiation. So once all that is figured out, we would water the plants sufficiently to their needs for the next couple of weeks. And by the way, this project would probably take around 3 to 4 weeks-ish. So during that time, we would be observing and reporting the number, like all the dependent variables, which are basically like the number and time of seed spreading, the growth rate, the individual heights, the surface area of each leaf. Once the experiment is over, the weight and length of each plant would be reported. Through an SEM machine, we would analyze dry matter content, total sugars, contents, starch and cellulose content, and etc. using a meat sample of 0.500 kilograms. And a Geiger counter would be used to just measure the radiation at the end of the experiments, as well as for control purposes. The variables. The independent variable is the duration of the exposure to ionizing radiation. The dependent variable is, I've just listed them all on like the class slide, so I don't really need to go over. The constants are the type of radiation used, which is ionizing radiation through the X-ray. The intensity of the exposure is 200 ray units. The type of seeds used are Maxwell and beans. I believe the amount and frequency of water will have to be controlled to be suitable for the plants. The type of amount of soil used will also have to be sufficient for plants. Temperature would probably be room temperature. The humidity and light intensity would have to be controlled along with the distance from other seeds. That would probably be a critical factor, along with the soil moisture. The control group would be the group not exposed to